It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelli, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time. And I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney, and join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise.
And I don't know how, but we're somehow not dead. And we're floating in an ethereal space.
Honestly, the most peaceful we've been in quite a while.
And
for being honest.
What's really especially crazy is directly in front of us, we see it looks like a TV screen. And there's a remote in here also. Those are the only other things in here. Is it looks like there's a TV screen kind of floating in space. And we have a remote, and there's
you know what? We should watch The Pit. I've heard that's a really good show.
It is, by the way, actually.
I know.
And we're recording this episode. This is bad. This is going to date this episode really bad because we're recording this before season 2 drops.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to hear this well after season 2 drops.
So if season 2 is terrible, this joke will not land.
But even if season 2 is terrible, season 1 is excellent, and there's no lingering like story really that you feel like you would need a second season for.
True.
Wholehearted recommendation to season 1 of The Pit. It was excellent.
Agreed.
That said, there's a note on this little remote that says, all it says is Cooler's Revenge. And the video screen in front of us is paused at the 1 second mark with waves crashing over a bunch of rocks. And so I think this is the movie Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. How about you?
Oh, I was worried that watching the TV was Cooler's Revenge.
But
maybe
maybe
makes way more sense.
This is all a meta commentary.
We're not actually doing a commentary on a movie. We're doing a commentary of our podcast of the commentary of the movie.
Cooler's real revenge is that he has gotten married and settled down and is just living his best life.
Yeah, no, that truly is the best revenge.
So yes, this is our commentary for Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. As I've mentioned, we are currently paused at the 1 second mark. If you want to get your movie and sync it up and all that, you absolutely can. We tend to not be super screen specific in our commentaries, but we might point out, hey, this part's cool, that part's cool, whatever. Oh, this little bit of animation looks wonky, whatever. But, if you want to follow along with us, get yourself set up to the 1 second point. The reason behind that is because the movie has dialogue over it as this Toei logo comes into the screen.
Spoilers.
Much like, what one was that? Was that World's Strongest, where like the Toei logo fades out and we just instantly come in on Piccolo shrieking at the top of his lungs?
I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one. Which I think that's how every Dragon Ball movie should start.
Even the ones without Piccolo in them.
Yeah, no, specifically, especially the ones without Piccolo.
Just start it with him screaming.
He's just in front of a Taco Bell, arms spread wide, just screaming at the top of his lungs.
Even Piccolo has to use the bathroom after Taco Bell. and it's not because he eats it. It's just the
just having to experience it.
Just being near a Taco Bell gives Piccolo the runs.
He has a sympathetic colon. Do slugs have colons? You know what? Don't answer that question.
Piccolo, okay. Let's before we start, Namekians, you think, can eat but don't need to?
Great question, because the really tough part about this is I don't think we ever actually see a Namekian eat anything.
I think we do. I think we actually see Dende eat something.
Do we?
Maybe.
I can't remember. Well, maybe somebody in the fandom will remind me. But so like, are you thinking you want to know if they run on like vampire rules or if they run on like zombie rules?
Yeah, right. Because what you're saying, like, zombies don't need to eat, but they do.
Yeah.
Vampires, if they try to eat human food,
they throw it up.
In most depictions, they throw it up or get sick or something.
Yeah.
Something that physiologically prevents them from eating human food.
Yeah.
Yes. I wonder.
So if I remember correctly, I think it is explained at some point in the show that Namekians only need water to survive.
Yes, that's explained for sure.
Okay. So that implies that they have maybe like some kind of photosynthesis going on, which would make sense because they're green.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they need to eat. However, we do know that there are carnivorous plants.
Okay.
And they do claim to be slugs. Or there's an implication that they are slug-like. So I feel like they probably can eat, they just don't need to.
Okay.
That's how I'm reasoning it out anyways.
Okay. They're not like androids that eat and then like to make you feel more comfortable like they're a person and then have to go and like empty out their interior food tray.
I hope not. That would be weird.
Piccolo's like, I can eat, but I have to purge afterwards.
It's like, wow, we had no idea that Namekians couldn't eat. And then he's like, no, we can eat. He's just got bulimia.
How do you think I stay in such good shape?
See, there you go.
Oh, well, that was more than enough time for everyone to get synced up.
All right, well, we chewed up enough time on that, so we're not going to bother with the commentary now, folks. Have a good one.
So get your remote handy, and I'm going to count us in 3, 2, 1, and we'll get rolling. If we deviate back into Namekian digestive physiology again, it's only because this movie's pretty sparse on anything other than fighting. So. But I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. On go, press play, and we'll get off and running. 3, 2, 1, go. And we get kicked off with some Now Everything Changes. I believe it's My Fate and Kakarot's 2. And this is like a flashback to the Bardock special, which, as we're recording this, we have not recorded about yet. But hopefully we will record and release an episode before this gets released. Hopefully. But anyways, this is Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. This is the 8th Dragon Ball movie and the 5th under the Dragon Ball Z banner. It was originally released in Japan on July 20th, 1991, which once again is 4 months after the prior movie. And in terms of where the anime was at this time, on June 26th, 1991, so just a little bit before this movie came out, Frieza blew up Namek's core, and on July 24th, 1991, everyone on Namek was wished back to life, which brought Porunga back to life, awaiting the final wish. So that's where we are in terms of the anime's release at this time. Cooler's Revenge debuted at the Toei Manga Matsuri Film Festival, where it was shown as part of a triple feature alongside Magical Taruruto, the movie number 2, Magical Battle of Friendship, and Dragon Quest, The Great Adventure of Dai 1. It is directed by Mitsuo Hashimoto, who we spoke a little bit about in our Lord Slug commentary, and written by Takeo Koyama. For more on Koyama, see our Don Dracula episode from October of 2021, and for more on Hashimoto, refer to our Lord Slug episode. Music is once again by Shinsuke Kikuchi, and you can hear us talk more about Kikuchi on our Gamera vs. Guiron commentary from October of 2025. Cooler's Revenge earned 2.38 billion yen in Japan, or about 17 million. The box office increased again, albeit just a little bit over the previous movie, and it's very much clear at this point that Dragon Ball is an absolute phenomenon unto itself and Toei's cash cow. As usual, let's talk briefly about the other films on the bill here. We already talked about Magical Taruruto in our previous commentary, but as a reminder, it's a manga series written and illustrated by Tatsuya Egawa, known for Golden Boy, which is an anime I see pumped up kind of a lot in like various golden age of anime groups, and for its visuals being very, very good. There were 21 volumes of Magical Taruruto, an 87-episode anime, 3 movies, and 7 video games on various Nintendo systems, and the story is about a downtrodden loser getting into a grand adventure with a magical wizard. Looking for some Dragon Ball connections here, several animators also worked on storyboards for various Dragon Ball episodes. Chiaki Imada was the producer, and Megumi Urawa, I can't say that name for some reason, voices Oob in Dragon Ball Z and Kai, and the Supreme Kai of Universe 5 in Super, one of the universes that's actually exempt from the Tournament of Power, lends her voice to the movie as well. There's some other connections, but they're pretty minor, like a voice actor voicing Boy or Attendant in Dragon Ball, and people writing individual episodes and things that wouldn't really surprise anyone who knows how these types of productions work, where animation houses can have hundreds of people who might do some minor work on a couple frames, but work is work, and credit is still deserved and mandated. Dragon Quest, The Adventure of Dai, is the first movie in that sub-series of the Dragon Quest franchise. The manga was written by Riku Sanjo, who also worked on the Guyver Bio-Boosted Armor OVA. I enjoy the Guyver series, the first Guyver movie being my favorite of that series. That has Mark Hamill in it.
Ooh, nice.
Riku Sanjo also worked on several Kamen Rider entries, such as W01 and Eternal. Koji Inada actually illustrated the manga, and from what I could tell from a franchise as insanely dense as Dragon Quest that I have not even really dipped my toes into, this is the first manga adaptation of the franchise, but then began the second anime installment, which ran for 46 episodes, and then later a revival anime series that ran for 100 episodes. There's been several mobile games based off this particular spin-off, but no actual game until 2023 with Infinity Strash Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, which is an action RPG and was actually not very well received despite this particular branch of the franchise being one of the more popular ones, the Adventure of Dai piece of it, I guess.
It happens.
This franchise is so dense and involved. I read a plot synopsis of this piece of it, and it was like reading the textbook for advanced physical chemistry when you're in junior high. I barely understood PChem when I took it in college. I couldn't attempt to explain it to anyone else, and I damn sure wouldn't have understood it as a 12-year-old who thought chemistry is neat. Think of my Dragon Quest knowledge like that. I think it's neat, but I understand nothing about it. The Adventure of Dai has sold over 50 million copies today and is listed as a top 100 manga series, so it seems well known and loved in the Dragon Quest community. I don't know if do you know anything about it? You're a little more Dragon Questy.
Okay, so I don't know anything specific about the Adventure of Dai.
Okay.
As far as Dragon Quest goes, I've played most of 8, a good chunk of 11, and I just finished the remake for the original Dragon Quest that came out earlier this year.
Okay.
So it's mostly game stuff. I've not really ever looked at any of the manga or anime or movies that are associated with that stuff. However, I do know a couple people who have seen that stuff, and they say in general it's pretty good stuff and worth a watch.
Okay.
Also, quick thank you for dredging up the PTSD that was PChem. Thanks for that. So, as is tradition now with these movies, our contractual obligation to contextualize these movies continues. So, if this is for some reason your very first Final Form commentary episode, this film was first released at the Toei Manga Matsuri, which is a Toei cartoon festival that was established in 1969 as a way to showcase popular anime series as theatrical films during breaks in the Japanese school year, so spring, summer, winter vacation. It's a multi-week event that would have about 3 hours of programming on a bill and is basically like a commercial for all the series that are featured as films on the bill. The goal is to get kids into the show featured as movies, and every Dragon Ball movie up until 2013 premiered at one of these festivals. If you want to know more, you can refer to our Curse of the Blood Rubies commentary, where we go into the history, or our episode on the Dragon Ball movies from one of the panels that we released at the end of February of this year, 2025. We dive deeper into the history and concept behind the festival in either of those episodes. Financially, these were kind of like ads people paid to see, so while a number like 17 million might not seem overly impressive for a theatrically released movie, that would be far more money than 3 hours of television ads would bring in for about the same cost to produce. And by this point, with multiple festivals per year, this was basically a machine that printed money. You can check out our Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle commentary if you want more info on the financials. Now, in terms of other behind-the-scenes talent, we've got more of the usual suspects. We have Chiaki Yamada as producer, Shinichi Fukumitsu as editor, Minoru Maeda doing some artwork, but we do have at least one person to talk about that we haven't yet. Akira Katada is the key animator here, and he also did key animation on The World's Strongest and will again on Wrath of the Dragon, and that's probably why this movie looks so good. We've got a key animator that definitely knows their stuff. Masazumi Matsumiya is listed as the art director. Matsumiya is known for working on Lupin III, The Mystery of Mamo, Galaxy Express 999, yet another person who worked on that one, and also did some art direction work for Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as some background work for Gegege no Kitaro. Also, Future Bones animator Yutaka Nakamura did some animation work here as well, most notably because Bones is considered one of the best animation studios in Japan right now, and is just kind of another reason why this movie looks as good as it does.
Yeah, Bones is responsible for. Do they work on, or is that? I can't remember if it's them or Studio Orange that does like My Hero Academia.
I believe it's Bones that does. Yes, they're responsible for My Hero Academia. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Mob Psycho 100, Bungo Stray Dogs, Soul Eater, Eureka 7, Sword of the Stranger, and I've heard of all of those. I've watched most of them. They're all, if nothing else, absolutely gorgeous to look at.
Right. Bones is a very, very well known for having stuff that looks good. And we're getting thin on these commentaries, and I can only imagine the horrors that await us in the near future in trying to break down the same characters again. And we were talking a bit about that offline, like when we get to the second Broly movie and there's literally not a new character that's introduced in that movie at all.
Or even much going on plot-wise.
But let's get into the movie proper as much as we can. This movie marks the final film appearance of Icarus, who we actually just saw briefly on the screen there, aka Haya Dragon, Gohan's dragon friend, and we'd very shortly be getting his final appearance in the upcoming driving episode as well, which is coming up for us relatively soon. We thankfully, though, have some new villains here to talk about with the Coolard Armor Squadron, who have made their presence known and are torturing our...
Wow, the timing on that was perfect.
They're torturing Gohan and beating up Krillin, and here comes Goku to try and stop them. Naze is the most alien-looking sort of reptile guy who's talking with his scouter right there. And his name is a pun on the condiment mayonnaise. He's most closely modeled after Burter, and that's kind of all I really have on him. He's like we have Burter at home.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Dore is a pun on the Gairaigo word sarado dressingu or saradore, which is just the generic term for salad dressing. In Japan, wafu dressing is popular and is a vinaigrette that uses Japanese ingredients such as soy sauce, rice vinegar, mirin, ginger, and vegetable oil. And the ginger dressing you get at Japanese hibachi places is also pretty famous as far as Japanese salad dressings go. You will see the explanation that Dore's name is a pun on saradore dressing pretty much everywhere you look, and the way it's stated often gives the impression that saradore dressing is a popular thing in Japan, like Italian dressing or Caesar, right? Like that's the kind of like the way that it's presented. But the reality is it's just a generic term, and there can be vinaigrette style or mayonnaise based saradores, and it's not a specific unique thing. This character is the green guy. He's most closely modeled after, I would say, Raccoon.
Yeah.
Salza's name pun might seem obvious and certainly seems like that was the way the translation team leaned on this, but actually in Japan he's Sazur, and it's a pun on Thousand Island dressing. Thus, the entire Cooler Armored Squadron is named after salad dressings. It's stated in guidebooks that Salza is actually of the same race as Jace, thus his design inspiration basically being Jace is pretty obvious. The Cooler Armor Squadron is definitely we have the Ginyu Force at home guys, but they're a pretty fun addition overall. They look good, they're well animated, and just like how the Ginyu Force kind of show up and raise hell and kind of liven things up, these guys show up and liven things up for this movie. Cooler himself is new too, and notably, his name is not the obvious pun that you might think. Kozo Morishita was worried that the name actually was too obvious and easy a reference, until he remembered that in his hometown dialect, people would say meshi demokura before eating, a regional dialect that means let's chow down. He then was okay with Kula being the name, because he was like, oh, it's got a meaning beyond it just being like another cold thing. Which I'm sure Toriyama probably would have been like, yeah, whatever. I don't just name him refrigerator.
Like, no, you have to stick with the theme. You have to stick with the theme.
Cooler's final form, which we'll see much later, is a riff on the Predator design, with Frieza having featured a xenomorph design from the Alien franchise. It was only natural to feature a design similar to the Predator somewhere, as the concept of a crossover between these two franchises, Predator and Alien, began all the way back in 1989. Now, you might be thinking, Predator 2, where we see the xenomorph skull in the Predator spaceship at the end, was 1990, not 1989, you big dumb idiot. But, let me explain here, you jerk. The Alien vs. Predator comic book series first debuted under the Dark Horse Comics banner in 1989, so there. With the idea being credited to American comic book writer and artist Charles Warner, who has also worked on Moon Knight, Batman, Doctor Strange, Terminator, and is credited as the creator of the character Barbed Wire. To say this was in the overall pop culture zeitgeist at the time would be pretty accurate, as it bears out in both looking at dates and interviews and comments made in promotional materials around 1990 in terms of like from the Alien and Predator franchises, like people were talking about it. People who were making those movies at that time were like openly teasing Alien versus Predator. And it's also just one of those things that if you were a kid at this time, you remember being talked about a lot, like at lunch and everything. People who would win in a fight between an alien and a predator, like it would be constant lunchroom conversation. So it's not at all unreasonable to think that the reference was intentional on the part of Toriyama. And yes, it is Toriyama, not the general anime team, because all of these new characters in this movie were designed by Toriyama. And this time, as opposed to any design work he'd done in the past for movies or filler or things like that, like video games, anything, he actually provided the anime team with full color designs this time around. We'll try to post pics on our socials, but Minoru Maeda said, quote, Toriyama-sensei drew all the enemy characters, such as Kula and Naze, up to and including a height comparison chart. They even came with colors, so there was no need to change them. There would be no point in changing them. It made it a breeze being the one making them, so I was grateful. Unquote. So that's yeah, that would make your job as the character designer pretty easy.
Right? Could you imagine being a young artist and be like, oh my god, how do I design characters for this amazing, like, super popular franchise? And then the original creator's like, I got you, dog.
Now, not only do I got you, I can tell you exactly how tall they're supposed to be. I can show you exactly how to color them. Like,
and then if anybody doesn't like the designs, you can just point back at Toriyama and be like, it was him.
Yeah.
He did it. So we've also got some dubbing peculiarities here, and those can be fun. So for starters, this is a situation we first alluded to in, I think, our Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle commentary. Creative Products Corporation did a dub of this movie, and is one of 4 movies they dubbed in total. Creative began dubbing Dragon Ball Z in 1993, doing 26 episodes, before suddenly stopping in 1995 and doing the original Dragon Ball, before pivoting back to DBZ and doing both, with their DBZ dub lasting through episode 49 and their Dragon Ball dub lasting up through episode 122, which is the end of the Demon King Piccolo arc. Now, Creative dubbed the show in English for release in the Philippines and claimed they edited things for content, but when it comes to the show, or at least the episodes that have been found by fan archivists, almost no edits are noticeable. That's a bit different from the movie dubs, though. They dubbed Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle and Mystical Adventure with some noticeable edits on the crude sexual humor and complete excision of General Blue. And they also dubbed Cooler's Revenge, Return of Cooler, and then turned these 2 Cooler movies into a single compilation movie called Dragon Ball Z: The Greatest Rivals. Now, one day we'll do something like a History of Dubs episode or series of episodes, perhaps, and get into the Creative even more as they put out soundtracks. And it seems like they actually put forth some effort, but just lack the competency as name changes are more phonetic, like changing Puar to Paul and Bulma to Bluma. And they even got a well-known Filipino musician named Gino Padilla to do bespoke intro and outro songs for the show.
Puar being Paul is...
I mean, I guess maybe I could see it if like English wasn't your first language if you were translating that,
it's just it'd be like you got Yamcha and Bulma and Krillin and Goku and all these characters that have like and then Paul.
And then a little flying cat named Paul. It's perfect. So in the remastered dub version of the film, Korin has his last line changed from needling Yajirobe about what a bean daddy is to simply remarking that Gohan's a great kid. This redubbed line is performed by Eric Vale rather than Christopher Sabat, which is the only time someone other than Sabat has done a line for Korin since about 2001, when Funimation brought their dub in-house. So for whatever reason, when Goku performs his final Kamehameha, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves in the story here, but that's okay because we'll be there soon. It bounces Cooler's death ball back at him at the end of the film. The Funimation dub does not have Goku saying the word Kamehameha, and instead just has him grunting to push the ball back. The 2008 remastered version of the dub with American soundtrack no longer features the same edits that the VHS and DVD had. As a for instance, the original VHS release of the film, as Goku and Cooler take their fight underwater, the soundtrack becomes noticeably muted and muddled, as if attempting to emulate the idea of the sound traveling through water. But that's not held through the remastered version of the movie, which is a small loss, but a loss nonetheless, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get too much into this the last time, but we had guests, so things were a tad different. But this is the second Dragon Ball movie to feature a dub with a replacement score of pop music. We say pop just to note that it was music intended for radio play and not tracks specifically crafted to play with the action on screen. The idea, as explained by Dale Kelly, and you can check out our interview with him for more from his point of view, was to have soundtracks akin to the kind that big-budget Hollywood movies at the time would have, which were compilation albums featuring named bands, and maybe the song itself would play for a few seconds in the background of the movie or something. But the high-profile nature of the soundtrack would funnel more money to the movie. As a marketing and money-making strategy, it makes a lot of sense. As an actual soundtrack to the action, well, some people really, really love it, and some really, really hate it.
And I find it weird.
I just think it's
sure.
Interesting when you start digging into the dub stuff and like the reasons why different things were done different ways and like licensing issues and all that kind of stuff. It makes for interesting like behind the scenes drama.
Yeah, it is weird watching. I find it weird to be watching a movie and hear like a full rock song.
Yeah.
You know, like there are times where it can work, but in like needle drops can be really, really good at certain times for sure. Like James Gunn does a ton of them, right? In like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But I always find it a little bit weird when like a contemporary or, you know, roughly contemporary song plays randomly in like a movie. It takes me out of it for some reason. It like takes me out of I'm watching a movie and like takes me out of the like breaks my immersion.
Your suspension
I feel
of disbelief in your immersion.
Yeah. My immersion, I think, is it breaks my immersion. It's really weird. Whether I like it or not, it's just odd to see like Goku transform into a Super Saiyan while Deftones change place over it. Like,
yeah, that's weird. So as with most of the preceding Dragon Ball Z movies, this movie features an exclusive ending theme song with vocals from singer Hironobu Kageyama, titled "The Incredible Strongest vs. Strongest." The theme song was written by Chiho Kiyooka and arranged by Kenji Yamamoto, with lyrics provided by Dai Sato. In addition to the main vocals from Hironobu Kageyama, support vocals are provided by a Japanese girl group, Ami.
This is the first Dragon Ball movie to not have Shenron in it at all, which is actually a trend that would wind up continuing until Fusion Reborn.
Interesting.
Bulma is also not featured at all in this movie, which is the first for that character.
So is this the canon point where Bulma starts stealing the Dragon Balls to do minor cosmetic surgery?
Oh, hey, that's where they are right now?
Yeah, they're not active right now because Bulma used them for a tummy tuck or a butt lift or something.
But aside from that, you can look at this movie, and whether it's self-imposed, as everyone involved in this movie was also working on the show, or something that came down from a bit higher, either at the level of like Toriyama or Torishima or Yu Kondo or Chiaki Imada, you can almost envision the checklist that they had of things to cover to replicate the Namek or Frieza arc in this 47-minute movie. Checklist. Here we go. Have a main threat that is like Frieza and looks like Frieza. Have a secondary force of like a team working under the main threat. Have the secondary force be flamboyant and over the top with colors and posing.
Check.
Have it be mostly Gohan and Krillin trying to hold down the fort while Goku is indisposed / injured.
Check.
Have Gohan forced to race against time and distance to obtain healing.
Check.
Have Gohan and Krillin outmatched by these antagonists.
I mean, that's a given.
Have the secondary force be defeated by not Goku, but rather by the secondary protagonist / antagonist who's temporarily an ally.
Oh, check.
That's happening right now. Piccolo has shown up. Have Gohan take a tremendous beating.
That's another given.
Have Gohan at the mercy of this tremendous beating that will likely kill him when Piccolo suddenly shows up for the save.
Check.
Have Piccolo appear to be extremely powerful until he faces the main threat.
Check.
We'll see that momentarily. Have the main threat transform. We talked about that. Push Goku to Super Saiyan to defeat the main threat. Have the main threat sort of be hoisted by his own petard and realize his own hubris led to this Saiyan's continued existence and strength.
Check.
So those are sort of like those are like almost bullet points of the Namek / Frieza saga in general.
Yeah.
And they're doing all of that in 47 minutes in this movie.
As opposed to 47 episodes, right?
More than that, right?
I was being charitable.
It was 30 episodes just for Final Form Frieza versus Goku.
Yeah, that's true.
So this movie shows just how possible it is to do an entire Dragon Ball arc as a movie. And whether you think that's being done well or not is up to you individually, but it is possible. And someday I think we'll do an episode. I really think it'd be cool to do an episode one day where we pitch our own Dragon Ball reinterpreted as movies universe.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Maybe we'll do that around when it's time to cover Evolution. But hey, if someone came up to us and said, how would you do Dragon Ball as movies? What would you do? And I definitely have thoughts on that for sure.
I could probably think of a few things.
Yeah.
Like having a really awesome reference to Star Wars in my Dragon Ball movie, like what's happening right now.
I was thinking, I would definitely do.
Come on, it's even got the lightsaber noises. This is just egregious at this point.
I would even do I would still introduce the whole world and everything through the idea of Dragon Ball, and not Dragon Ball Z. I would start kind of at the beginning, but I would definitely streamline the Dragon Ball kind of story, and so that's just a little tease for a few years from now when we're up to Evolution and we're doing the Final Forum pitches a Dragon Ball movie.
I like to think that no matter how bad our pitches might be, they won't be worse than Evolution.
the DBEU, the Dragon Ball Extended Universe, Dragon Ball, the DBCU.
So DBZCU. I don't know.
But that's in terms of notes, that's we still got 20 minutes left in this movie, but that's kind of all we really had. But I mean, it's the Frieza arc.
Pretty much.
And we've talked about that. That's these movies were designed to get you into the show, and it's you could basically watch this movie and then turn around and start watching the anime. And kind of
and you'd at least have an understanding of the major plot points.
Right.
It's not a bad idea.
No.
It's just there's not a lot of meat to this movie, which I guess kind of makes it such that a 45-minute runtime is about all you need for something like this. But
right. This is definitely a movie though. We've done other movies for sure that have been in their limited runtime, which that's the other thing. This movie is even shorter than some of the other movies have been an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
this one is even is shorter. Like that, like 47 minutes. I don't even think that's technically feature length. I think doesn't it have to be an hour to be feature length?
I believe so.
So you're not even technically at feature. You're not a feature film.
It's more like direct to video kind of territory.
Yeah, and like this one for sure. Like when we did Tree of Might, we kind of talked about how it's a little more dull than we kind of had remembered.
Yeah,
and this one is like so action packed. Like you could tie in another 10 to 15 minutes of actual storytelling here, guys. Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, and they do at least try and set it up at the beginning when we're getting sort of the flashback with Bardock, and then like how Cooler's sort of kind of involved in that somehow. But like, yeah, that's literally the only lead up to this, and then I think we immediately cut to Earth. The guys go camping, and then they just get jumped out in the woods.
Yeah, and yeah, you could have had more with Cooler, and you could have had more with Cooler and Frieza. Like, I don't know.
Like I like maybe I mean I think if I were to pitch like maybe a way to improve it, I would probably do a little bit more with the Armored Core to start instead of just immediately jumping in on the fight. Like maybe they're scoping these guys out, figuring out, well, wait, this guy killed Frieza, so we don't necessarily want to like start a scrap with him right off the bat. And maybe they can do like a little reconnaissance. We get a couple character moments or something, and or maybe they reach out in some fashion in a non-violent way at first to try and gauge what's going on. But
it would be nice if they had more personalities, right? Like,
or at least more opportunity to show off their personality, because I like they have a little bit of personality, but you just don't see a ton of opportunity for them to actually do anything with it.
Right. There's definitely a lot of shorthand with the Cooler Armored Squadron, especially. Right. Cooler himself gets a little bit of like development insofar as, you know, he's not so much getting revenge in terms of like vengeance for Frieza because he loved his brother and is mad that Goku killed him. He's more getting revenge because, like, how dare you do that to our family, right? Like,
yeah, it's again, this is kind of a theme for their whole family of where pride is the central pillar.
Yeah. So there's definitely some unique, like, Cooler gets enough of his own personality, I'll say, to I don't think he necessarily needs a whole lot more fleshing out personally, but yeah, the Cooler Armored Squadron is like, they show up, they're very colorful, they do a couple poses, and we're all supposed to just sort of mentally be like, they're the Ginyu Force, but they don't get enough opportunity to show off their actual personalities.
Yeah,
you're supposed to like infer them because of what you know from the
even if they just took more time with the fight between the Armored Core and like Gohan and Krillin.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Now, the whole thing with this transformation is kind of interesting because we talked about how over the years the idea of Frieza's transformations has sort of become that what you might think of as his base form, the form with the horns and when he's sitting in his little floaty chair, is actually that's a transformation for him. He transforms in order to tamper down his raw natural power, which is what his final form is actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's he doesn't transform to get stronger. He transforms to be weaker so that he doesn't, like, I don't know, blow up his spaceship by touching it.
the earlier forms are like his weighted training clothing, and each form that
Yeah.
he changes is him taking off another piece of weighted training clothing.
But Cooler says, I'm able to transform an additional time. And then busts out this form, which is very clearly a more powerful form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sort of I don't know. I don't know if there's anything there in terms of just like whoever was involved in this kind of interpreted those the Frieza transformations slightly differently, or maybe Toriyama even initially kind of thought of them differently, and it wasn't until later on in his life that he was like, no, they're, like you said, like they're the weighted trading clothes.
Yeah.
That was like a sort of kind of retcon later on type of thing. But it's just kind of an interesting tweak or whatever to the transformation idea.
I kind of interpret it as, because like when I think of the like the Frieza arc, like Frieza's downfall is the fact that he's constantly walking around not using his peak power, which makes him unpracticed in using his peak power.
Right.
Whereas with Cooler, if he's got a transformation that does make his base form stronger, not only is he used to using his peak power, but he knows how to goose it just like Goku does with Super Saiyan and with Kaioken. So I feel like it's whoever's in charge of story or whatever is kind of trying to establish, no, this guy is a whole level above where Frieza's at.
Right.
And I think that's their shorthanded way of trying to like increase the tension.
Yeah. I get that. That makes sense. I think we just saw Goku doing some Kaioken. Is that we'll have to pay attention. Is that the last time we see Kaioken in one of the movies? It really might be.
Might be. I don't know if he uses it at all in the next Cooler movie.
Because
that might be.
I mean, at this point, Kaioken basically gets dropped from the show until much later in Super, when he starts using it on top of his like god transformations.
I call it Blooper Saiyan.
But yeah, this is like some of the last time we really get Kaioken and get specific calls to it for kind of a while. Unless it's in the next movie, in which case disregard what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, no, we'll just retcon it, just like Toriyama does things, and we can't be blamed for it. It'll be fine. You know what's really interesting is, so obviously I'm waiting to watch Super for when we actually go through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen some stuff from it, because how could you not on social media?
Right.
But I always thought that it was interesting that like they start doing these differences between like Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan in terms of like the Super Saiyan God stuff, Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego, Beast Gohan type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's always kind of surprised me that even though like Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin trained with King Kai, that they never themselves used the Kaioken technique.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been a really good way for the human fighters to keep par with the Saiyans. And
right.
I'm surprised that was never explored as an option.
It would like make sense. I mean, at this point, like some of these characters are more or less strong enough that they can spar with like Super Saiyans, so they should physically be able to handle the buff that. Because that's the whole reason that King Kai hasn't previously taught Kaioken to really anyone else before Goku is he's scared that their body won't physically be able to handle it.
Right.
And that they'll like just blow up. Can I say
nothing ventured, nothing gained?
Is it wrong of me to say worst Super Saiyan transformation ever?
I mean, maybe.
Because we don't even see him transform.
Also, kind of funny that like, what really sets him off here is the dead bird. Sort of setting the stage for Gohan, if you will.
Yeah, what's more ridiculous? Goku getting Super Saiyan unlocked from a dead bird, or Gohan getting Super Saiyan 2 unlocked from a dead android that he knew for 5 minutes?
Neither's great. I guess they kind of were stuck, like they painted themselves into a corner because you can't really kill Krillin again to bring it on. So might cause some plot holes there.
Yeah, it's more just it more just like bothers me that you never see him transform. It's just you see a shot of him.
He just cuts away and cuts back, and he's a Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
This is what we mean when we say we don't want character development to happen off screen. It's very jarring.
Right, and that's like you got a 47-minute movie. You could have done a 3-minute transformation sequence.
We didn't even get the full charge up. We cut away from Cooler and we come back and now he's got a giant death ball. Like, what's that about? You're gonna draw out the last 5 minutes of Namek to like 15 episodes, but we can't spare the 10 seconds of animation to show somebody charging up an attack? Come on now. I'm kidding. I'm just I'm nitpicking. But...
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. I like that. I like that going Super Saiyan is like some kind of the energy output from it is enough to revive other beings that are like nearby. Like
yeah,
he heals the bird.
I really love when Goku gets random powers like being able to read somebody's mind.
Being able to revive a bird. And then this is where the similarity between Cooler and Frieza really hammers home when he ends up realizing, like, oh wait, I'm the one who, like, I'm responsible for
all of this happening. Because I wanted to be petty to my little brother. Which, as someone with a little brother, I totally understand. But as an adult, you can't be doing that, man.
Right. Also, do you ever find it? What is your take on these energy blasts that could blow up whole planets, and they always get blasted into the sun, and the sun is just like fine.
Before we even get to hitting the sun, just a casual reminder, it takes light from the sun 7 minutes to hit Earth. It has taken about 15 seconds for Cooler to go from Earth to the sun. So before we even get to the explosion part, they're traveling faster than the speed of light, which should be physically impossible.
This explosion would, like, if the corona from that explosion was big enough to stretch almost to the Earth.
Yeah.
And it blots out the light from the sun for 15 seconds.
Just pretty wild. Which also that flash they wouldn't see for 7 minutes until after it happened.
That's another this is another moment right here that I would love to do, like the Ask a Physicist thing, like
their brain just melts.
Like what would happen if an explosion were big enough that it somehow caused the sun to wink out of existence for 15 seconds?
We're really hitting the point in the power scaling of the story now where, like, if these guys sneeze wrong, they just take out the entire planet.
Yeah. I like that the villain, the prototypical, like, villain jump scare at the end is Salza. Like,
oh right, the guy that punched Goku in the face and Goku completely didn't even notice.
Yeah.
That guy's the threat, right?
And then the special beam cannon gets just like...
Well, I mean, if you gotta have at least one special beam cannon.
I do really genuinely love that. Like, it's fired, and then he's like not even there.
Yeah, just
like,
nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I like to picture that he's already flown like miles away and just lined up the shot ahead of time and just because he knew. Because Piccolo is nothing if not an aura farmer.
Absolutely. Oh, here he is. He's eating.
What? Well, where'd he go?
He's having some dinner.
He's having some salsa for dinner.
And that's Cooler's Revenge. It's fun though. It really is. Like,
Yeah. For something that's 45 minutes, which is a pretty small time investment, it's a fully contained plot. If you want to look at it that way, it's a pretty movie to look at. The action's great. The choreography's good. Yeah, just overall a fun watch.
it is a very good looking movie. Not
even the background shots, like that's something we completely kind of glossed over, but like these painted background shots are phenomenal.
Yes, that's they're gorgeous. And that's like all the shading and saturation, like everything is very clean and pretty looking. So yeah, I do like that a lot. Wild that, you've got Change by Deftones as the soundtrack here, but it's never like that is a thing that I personally have never vibed with.
Oh, that's definitely a choice for sure.
There's definitely people who really love it, and like people who will almost like not even want to watch these movies without those soundtracks on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice I've never particularly personally liked.
Yeah, I don't feel super great about it. I prefer watching like the original soundtracks with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's what they were made with. That's how they were intended to be seen originally. Like I try and go for the most artist intended experience for it.
Okay, yeah.
That said, I understand that like it's a money decision. They're trying to push like soundtracks and merchandising and all that stuff. But yeah, this is definitely an instance where I feel like it kind of hurts the final product a little bit.
It is like a fun thing to sort of revisit I think
you can do it well. I think there are like pop songs and stuff that you could put in that moment that would absolutely work. Just not the Deftones.
So, out of 7 Dragon Balls, where do you stand on Cooler's Revenge?
I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 7. Mostly because the plot's pretty thin, the runtime is very short, and most of the positives have to do with visuals and just like solid character design.
Okay, that's fair. I'm gonna go just a smidge higher and say a 5. I just think it's a really enjoyable movie. All the things we talked about. It's very pretty to look at. It's a very quick watch. It's kind of that like I feel like I say this maybe on every single one of these commentaries, but it's nice to have these quick hits of Dragon Ball that you can pop in and watch and not get sucked into watching 85 episodes of like, Namek, right? You just get this little quick 45 minutes and you're in and out.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just a smidge higher. Maybe I was in a very good mood when I watched this as prep, but I like dug it. Maybe that was also because, Tree of Might is not that far in my background memory, and I liked it quite a bit more than Tree of Might.
That's fair. I mean, I do think it is better than Tree of Might, but
that's it for Cooler's Revenge. Unless you get anything more to add on it, then
I'm not sure what more I can add. Is there anything more to the movie that we didn't see?
The next one of these we do will be the return of Cooler, where he comes back as is that the Big Getty Star?
Spaghetti Star, yeah.
The Spaghetti Star. But yeah, that'll be the next one of these that we do, and then gosh, we still have so many more. There's like, because this is only 5 and there's 13.
Wow. You know, when you said you wanted to do a podcast on Dragon Ball, I really didn't think it was gonna.
We'll try and figure out some fun stuff to do for maybe some of those, like the Broly sequels and things where there will be more difficulty finding some. Maybe we'll like come up with some fun gimmicks or something to do for those episodes instead of
maybe we should turn the process on its head, and instead of talking about all the things we like about it, we can just rip on it for the full runtime.
Oh, I don't like doing that though. I would much rather, there's so much negativity in the world, rightfully so.
What? That's a fair point. You're right.
Rightfully so. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and I will fully admit that I fall into it a lot. I'm a fairly cynical person, and I'm fairly pessimistic. I might, in my kinder to myself moments, say realistic, but that's a little less here nor there. And I like focusing more on the things that we enjoy about all this, right?
Sure.
I find it exhausting to scroll through social media sometimes and just constantly see, what's your most hated this? What's your most hated that? And it's like, can we talk about the things that we like, maybe? And I understand that doesn't drive, I understand like anger drives clicks and engagement more than positivity, but I would prefer to live in the realm of positivity.
I can get behind that. Because, yeah, I'd agree with that assumption that there's probably enough negativity going on.
I'm sure there will be times when we do genuinely come across things that we actively dislike so much that we will say a lot of negative things, because that's the other side is I don't want to be toxically positive. I don't want to be positive in the face of something that you should be only negative about.
Sure,
right?
Yeah. If something's legitimately unenjoyable, you should be able to go, this didn't hit for me.
Exactly. Bio Broly, I feel like I'm looking at you. But it has been like over a decade since I've watched that one, so maybe it'll hit different.
Yeah, maybe it'll be worse than we remember. Kind of like some of these other... No. Right, no, positivity. I'm working on it.
I'm sure when we get to Evolution, we probably won't have a whole lot of kind things to say, so...
I mean, as long as I get to make fun of Evolution, I'll be all right, I think.
If you're looking forward to an episode where we are relentlessly negative, tune in a couple years to our Dragon Ball Evolution episode.
We'll do a big social media push to let people know when we're finally doing Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you subscribe and rate and review and all those things. Also, join us on Discord. If you enjoy listening to us and you'd like to come and talk to us regularly, we've got a growing little Discord community, and we've had some fun discussions over there. And at this point, it's not very heavily like moderated, but we will make sure that that it always remains a place where people can enjoy themselves and talk about Dragon Ball, and we'll make sure we get rid of bad actors as we need to. But as of right now, it's just a small little group of several of us who touch base every once in a while.
Yeah.
You almost like, I like to pop into it and post and just say something like almost daily, just to kind of be like, hey, what's going on?
Sure.
But yeah, join us on Discord. I'm sure I don't know 100% know how Discord works, but like you can probably, I think, just find us by searching for Final Forum on Discord. I think.
Okay.
Probably. Maybe.
Makes sense.
If for some reason you can't reach out to us on one of our social media handles, we're on every social media. Like, we're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Blue Sky. Think that's it. But you can reach out to us on one of those or email us and be like, hey, how do I find your Discord? So, yeah. Come hang out with us. It'll be fun.
We promise.
Probably.
Sort of.
And that'll do it for today. How will we handle our Dragon Ball commentaries moving forward as we run out of new characters and things to say about these 45-minute flicks? Find out next time and help us achieve our final forum.
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share it with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.